They laughed when I said I worked from my bedroom selling designs online. My own family called me unemployed, lazy, embarrassing. But the same people who mocked my tiny online job suddenly changed their tone the night my brand went viral worldwide. What they didn't know was that someone close to me was secretly stealing from my business the entire time. And by the end of this story, the people who tried to destroy me would lose everything. Disclaimer: this video is a work of fiction. All characters, events, and situations are imaginary and created for entertainment and inspirational storytelling purposes only. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. I still remember the exact moment my family decided my dream was a joke. It happened during my aunt's birthday dinner at my grandmother's house. Everyone was crowded around the long dining table, talking loudly over each other, while plates of food covered every inch of space. My cousins were discussing promotions, office gossip, and salaries like always. Every conversation sounded like a competition. Whoever earned the most money got the most respect in the room. I sat quietly near the corner, hoping nobody would ask me about work. But they always did. "So, Emma," my older cousin Farah said while sipping her drink, "what exactly are you doing these days?" I hesitated for a second. "I run an online store." The table went silent for 2 seconds before several people laughed. "Oh right," my uncle said with a grin. "The little internet business." "It's not little," I replied softly. Farah smirked. "What do you even sell again? Stickers? Custom tote bags, laptop sleeves, and handmade accessories?" My aunt raised an eyebrow. "People actually buy that stuff?" A few cousins laughed again. I forced a smile even though my face felt hot with embarrassment. I had heard these comments so many times that I should have been used to them by now, but somehow they still hurt every single time. Farah leaned back in her chair confidently. "You know, there's still time to get a real career. My company is hiring assistants." "I'm okay," I said quietly. "Okay," she repeated with a laugh. "Emma, you work alone in your apartment packing bags into boxes. It's still a business." "No," she said. "It's a hobby pretending to be a business." That sentence hit harder than she realized. Nobody defended me. Not even my parents. My father kept eating silently while my mother avoided eye contact completely. Deep down, I knew they agreed with everyone else at the table. They never said it directly, but I could feel their disappointment every time relatives compared me to my successful cousins. One worked in finance. One was a lawyer. One had recently bought a luxury apartment. And then there was me, the girl selling handmade products online from a tiny apartment with weak internet and secondhand furniture. After dinner, I helped clean the table while everyone continued talking in the living room. I could hear Farah joking about me again. "Imagine explaining to people that your daughter wraps tote bags for a living." More laughter followed. I kept washing dishes quietly while staring at the sink so nobody would notice the tears building in my eyes. That night, I drove home feeling completely exhausted. Not physically, emotionally. My apartment was small and cramped, sitting above an old convenience store downtown. The walls were thin enough to hear my neighbors arguing almost every night. My workspace was squeezed between my bed and the window. Rolls of fabric covered the floor while shipping boxes were stacked beside my closet. It didn't look impressive, but it was mine. I turned on my laptop and checked my store analytics immediately, hoping sales would cheer me up. 3 orders. Only 3. I stared at the screen in silence. One order was from a repeat customer in Chicago. One was a custom moon-themed laptop sleeve, and one customer had accidentally entered the wrong address again. I leaned back in my chair and rubbed my face tiredly. Most people imagined working online was easy. They thought I spent all day watching videos and casually making money from my phone. The reality was completely different. I handled everything alone. Designing products, editing photos, managing social media, packing orders, answering emails, fixing website problems, talking to suppliers, handling refunds. Some nights I worked until sunrise. And despite all that effort, there were still months where I barely made enough money to survive. I opened my notebook and checked my expenses carefully. Rent was due in 9 days, electricity bill overdue, shipping costs increasing. Fabric supplier demanding payment. My chest tightened with anxiety. For a brief moment, I wondered if my family was right. Maybe this really was stupid. Maybe I had wasted years chasing something unrealistic while everyone else moved forward with stable careers and normal lives. I closed the notebook quickly before those thoughts could grow stronger. Then I looked around my tiny workspace. Sketches were taped across the walls. Fabric samples covered my desk. Half-finished embroidery designs sat beside my sewing machine. Every single thing in that room existed because of me. No investor helped me. No family member supported me. No rich friend promoted me. I built everything alone. That thought gave me enough strength to keep going. I picked up my camera and started photographing new products under the cheap ring light near my window. Around midnight, I uploaded a new collection called Midnight Bloom. I spent 2 hours writing captions and editing product descriptions carefully. By 2 a.m., my eyes burned from staring at the screen for too long. Finally, I collapsed onto my bed while my laptop remained open beside me. Just before sleeping, I checked my phone one last time. A new notification appeared from a customer. "Hi, I absolutely love your designs. Your work deserves way more attention." I stared at the message for several seconds. It was such a small comment. But after an entire day of being mocked and humiliated, those words felt strangely important. I smiled faintly and placed my phone down beside the pillow. Outside my apartment window, rain started falling softly against the glass while the city lights flickered in the distance. And somewhere on the internet, without me knowing it yet, someone very powerful had just discovered my brand. The next morning started like every other exhausting day of my life. I woke up late with my neck hurting from sleeping beside my laptop again. Sunlight pushed through the thin curtains of my apartment while my phone buzzed nonstop somewhere under the blanket. At first, I ignored it. Customer notifications usually came in slowly throughout the day, and most of them were simple questions about shipping or colors. But the buzzing didn't stop. I reached for my phone half asleep and instantly froze. Instagram notifications flooded the screen faster than I could read them. New follower, new comment, new tag, new order, new message. Again and again, my heart started beating faster. For one terrifying second, I thought my account had been hacked. I sat upright immediately and opened Instagram. The number at the top of my page made no sense. 12,483 followers. The night before, I had barely crossed 900. I blinked repeatedly, convinced the app was glitching. Then I noticed the tags. Hundreds of strangers were posting the same photo. I clicked one. My breath caught instantly. A famous actress named Chloe Mercer stood outside an airport wearing sunglasses, a beige coat, and one of my moon-themed tote bags hanging from her shoulder. My bag. The exact custom design I made weeks ago for Sarah Kay. The comments underneath the photo moved so fast I could barely keep up. "Where is this bag from? I need this. I need this. This is gorgeous. Who designed it? Obsessed." Then I saw something even crazier. A fashion page with nearly 2 million followers had reposted the image and tagged my brand directly. My hands started shaking. "No way," I whispered out loud. I opened my online store dashboard. Orders were pouring in every few seconds. At first, it felt exciting. Then it became overwhelming. 37 orders. 52. 91. The numbers kept climbing so quickly that the page lagged constantly. My tiny apartment suddenly felt too small to breathe in. I jumped out of bed and rushed to my desk, trying to process what was happening. Emails flooded my inbox faster than I could answer them. Customers from countries I had never shipped to before were requesting products. Germany, Australia, Japan, France. One influencer with blue verification check marks messaged me asking for a collaboration. Another asked if I could send products for a photo shoot. I covered my mouth in shock while staring at the screen. For 2 years, I had begged people to notice my work. Now suddenly the internet couldn't stop talking about it. I refreshed my website again. Crash. The entire page went white. Oh no. No, no, no. I refreshed again. Still broken. Panic hit instantly. My website couldn't handle the traffic. I spent the next hour desperately watching tutorials and contacting customer support, while thousands of people tried visiting the store at the same time. My inbox became complete chaos. Some customers were angry because checkout wasn't working. Others begged me to restock sold-out designs. Several stores asked about wholesale partnerships. By noon, I still hadn't eaten or changed clothes. My apartment looked like a tornado had destroyed it. Fabric rolls covered the floor while open shipping boxes surrounded my desk. My printer continuously spat out invoices until it overheated and stopped working entirely. Then my phone rang. Mom. I stared at the screen for a moment before answering. Hello? Emma, she said quickly. Why are people sending me your Instagram posts? I almost laughed from disbelief. Because my brand is trending. There was silence. Then she asked carefully. How many people are following you now? I checked the number again. Almost 20,000. Another silence followed, but this one felt different. Less judgmental. More confused. Well, she finally said, that's impressive. Impressive. It was the first positive thing she had ever said about my business. Before I could respond, another call came through from an unknown number. I ignored it. Then another, and another. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly remembered I existed. Former classmates, distant relatives, old coworkers. Everyone wanted to talk now. By evening, my apartment looked completely unrecognizable. Orders covered every surface, while my phone charger barely kept my dying battery alive. I sat on the floor surrounded by packaging supplies, trying not to cry from stress. Then a notification appeared from my bank. I opened it slowly. Today's sales total flashed across the screen. It was more money than I had earned in the last 6 months combined. For several seconds, I genuinely couldn't breathe. I read the number again and again to make sure it was real. Tears filled my eyes instantly. Not because I was rich, not because I had gone viral, but because after years of being ignored, mocked, and underestimated, something finally worked. Every sleepless night, every insult, every moment of doubt. Suddenly, it all felt worth it. I leaned against the side of my bed and cried quietly while surrounded by stacks of unfinished orders. Outside, the city moved normally like nothing extraordinary had happened. Cars passed, people walked home from work. Rainwater dripped from rooftops. But inside my tiny apartment, my entire life had changed in less than 24 hours. Around midnight, I forced myself back to work. I answered customer emails until my vision blurred. I printed shipping labels carefully. I updated inventory numbers 3 different times because products kept selling out. At 10:43 a.m., another notification appeared. This time it was from Chloe Mercer herself. Absolutely love your designs. I stared at the message in complete disbelief. One celebrity post had transformed my tiny online shop into something the internet suddenly cared about. But while thousands of strangers celebrated my success online, another feeling slowly crept into my chest. Fear. Because attention changes people. Especially the people who once treated you like nothing. And deep down, I already knew tomorrow's family dinner was going to feel very different from the last one. By the end of the week, my life no longer felt real. Every morning I woke up to thousands of notifications waiting on my phone. My follower count climbed faster than I could understand, and Luna threads became impossible to escape online. Fashion pages reposted my products daily, influencers tagged my brand constantly, and customers uploaded videos opening my packages with emotional music in the background, like my tote bags were luxury items. Just 2 weeks earlier, I had been praying for 5 orders a day. Now I couldn't even keep up with 500. My tiny apartment transformed into a disaster zone. Shipping boxes filled the hallway. Fabric rolls covered my couch, and stacks of printed invoices sat on the kitchen counter beside untouched cups of coffee. I barely slept more than 3 hours each night. Still, I had never felt more alive. For the first time in years, people looked at me differently. Even strangers respected me now. But the strangest change came from my family. On Sunday evening, my mother called and invited me to another family dinner at my grandmother's house. Her voice sounded unusually cheerful. "You should come," she said. "Everyone wants to see you. Everyone wants to see you." The sentence almost made me laugh. 2 weeks ago, they could barely hide their embarrassment whenever someone asked about me. Now suddenly I was interesting. I almost refused to go. Part of me wanted to stay home and avoid the fake smiles I knew were waiting for me. But another part of me was curious. I wanted to see how people acted when success forced them to change their opinions. So I went. The moment I walked into my grandmother's house, I felt the difference immediately. Every conversation stopped, then everyone started talking at once. "Emma's here, the celebrity business owner. We saw your products online. You're famous now." Famous. The same people who once called me unemployed were suddenly acting like I had become some kind of superstar overnight. My aunt rushed toward me with the biggest smile I had ever seen on her face. "Emma, we're all so proud of you." Proud. That word almost irritated me more than the insults did. Farah appeared seconds later holding her phone excitedly. "Look," she said, showing me Instagram posts about my brand. "My coworkers are obsessed with your bags." I nodded politely. "You really built all this yourself?" another cousin asked. "Yes. That's insane." Insane? Interesting how my business only became insane after strangers on the internet approved of it first. Dinner felt completely different this time. Instead of mocking me, everyone kept asking questions about money. Followers. Celebrities and sales. "How much are you making now? Did Chloe Mercer really contact you personally? Are you hiring employees? Do influencers pay you?" Even my father seemed more relaxed than usual. He actually joined conversations about my work, instead of changing the subject immediately. For years, I had felt invisible sitting at that table. Now, everyone suddenly wanted my attention. It felt satisfying for about 10 minutes. Then it started feeling uncomfortable, because none of it felt genuine. Farah leaned closer during dinner and smiled. "You know, I always said social media businesses were the future." I nearly choked on my drink. "Always said?" This was the same woman who publicly called my work a fake career less than a month ago. But I stayed quiet. I watched everyone carefully instead. The compliments kept coming nonstop. "You were always creative. We knew you'd become successful one day. You just needed the right opportunity." The lies amazed me. Nobody had believed in me. Not one person at that table. But success has a strange way of rewriting history. After dinner, several relatives pulled me aside privately, asking for favors. One wanted free products. One asked if I could promote her makeup page. Another cousin wanted investment advice despite never supporting me once. The attention became exhausting. Then, while I stood near the kitchen pouring water into a glass, someone touched my shoulder gently. I turned around and saw my cousin Nadia. Unlike everyone else, she looked nervous instead of excited. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I nodded and followed her onto the back patio away from the noise inside the house. Cold air brushed against my face while distant traffic echoed through the neighborhood. Nadia crossed her arms tightly and looked down at the ground before speaking. "I'm really happy for you," she said softly. "Thanks." She hesitated. Then her expression changed completely. "I actually need help." I stayed silent. Her voice cracked slightly. "Omar lost his job last month." My chest tightened a little. Nadia's husband worked for a tech company that recently laid off employees. I remembered hearing rumors about it from relatives. "We're behind on rent," she admitted quietly. "And the polishing front hallway." She was old. And the first time all night, someone sounded honest. No fake excitement. No pretending. Just desperation. I looked at her carefully. Unlike Farah, Nadia had never openly mocked my business before. She mostly stayed quiet during family gatherings, while everyone else laughed at me. That mattered to me more than she realized. "What kind of help?" I asked. Her eyes lifted slightly with hope. "Anything," she said quickly. "I can answer emails, organize orders, customer service, whatever you need." I didn't respond immediately. The truth was, I did need help. The business had grown too fast for one person to handle alone. I barely slept anymore, and customers were starting to complain about delayed shipping because I couldn't keep up with demand. Hiring a stranger felt risky. Hiring family felt easier. At least that's what I told myself. "I can pay you part-time for now," I finally said. "Mostly customer support and order management." Nadia's eyes filled with relief instantly. "Seriously? Yeah." She hugged me tightly before I could react. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea how much this means." For a brief moment, I actually felt good about helping someone. Maybe success could repair old relationships after all. Maybe this was the beginning of something better for our family. Inside the house, laughter echoed loudly, while relatives continued bragging about my business to each other, like they had been part of the journey from the start. And standing there beside Nadia, under the dim patio light, I had absolutely no idea that the person I had just decided to trust would soon become the biggest threat my company had ever faced. At first, hiring Nadia felt like the best decision I had ever made. Within days, the pressure on my shoulders became lighter. She answered customer emails quickly, organized spreadsheets better than I ever could, and even helped calm angry buyers whenever shipping delays happened. Customers started leaving positive reviews, mentioning how kind and professional the support team was. Support team. The phrase made Luna Threads feel like a real company instead of a stressed girl working alone in a tiny apartment. A month after Nadia joined, I finally moved operations into a small office space downtown. It wasn't luxurious, but to me it felt incredible. White walls, large windows, proper desks, and enough room to separate inventory from packaging supplies. I hired 2 more employees to help with shipping while Nadia handled online communication and payment records. Business was growing faster than I imagined. New influencers promoted the brand every week. Fashion bloggers mentioned us constantly. Orders arrived from countries I had never even visited. Sometimes I would sit quietly in the office after everyone left and stare at the Luna Threads logo hanging near the entrance. I had built this. Despite the mockery, despite the doubt, despite the years of struggling alone. For the first time in my life, I felt secure. Then the complaints started. At first they seemed small. One customer emailed saying her package never arrived even though the system marked it as delivered. Another claimed she had been charged twice. Then someone requested a refund because they received the wrong item entirely. Mistakes happen in every business, so I didn't panic immediately. We were shipping hundreds of orders weekly now. A few problems were normal, but within 2 weeks, the issues multiplied. Refund requests exploded. Customers accused us of ignoring emails. Several people claimed they had sent payments but never received confirmation. My stomach tightened every time I opened the inbox. Something felt wrong. One afternoon, I sat beside Nadia reviewing customer complaints together. "Shipping companies are probably messing things up," she said casually while typing on her computer. "Maybe," I replied, though deep down I wasn't convinced. I started checking records personally every night after employees left. At first, everything looked normal. Then I noticed small inconsistencies. Payment amounts didn't match order totals. Certain invoices were missing completely. Some refunded orders still showed completed payments. The numbers weren't huge individually, but together, they added up to thousands. I barely slept for the next few nights. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind replayed spreadsheets and transactions over and over. Anxiety crawled through my chest constantly. I had worked too hard to lose everything because of accounting mistakes. One Thursday evening, I received an email that changed everything. The subject line read, "Is this your payment account?" Attached underneath was a screenshot. I stared at it for several seconds before my blood turned cold. The customer had received instructions to transfer money to a completely different bank account instead of the official Luna Threads account. An account under Nadia's full name. My hands immediately started shaking. "No," I whispered. I checked the invoice carefully again. The email had been sent directly from our company support account. There was no mistake. I opened transaction records frantically and began comparing dates. The deeper I looked, the worse it became. Dozens of altered invoices, missing payments, fake refund requests. Money had been disappearing slowly for months, and every trail pointed toward Nadia. I stayed in the office until almost 4 a.m., surrounded by scattered papers and half-empty coffee cups while trying to process the betrayal. By sunrise, I finally calculated the total. Nearly $48,000. Gone. I felt physically sick. Not only because of the money, because I trusted her. I gave her a job when she needed help. I defended her when customers complained. I treated her like family. And the entire time she had been stealing from me behind my back. The next morning, I called her into my office before anyone else arrived. She walked in carrying coffee and smiling normally. "Morning," she said casually. I closed the office door slowly. "We need to talk." Something in my voice immediately changed her expression. I placed printed invoices across the desk between us. At first, she stared silently. Then she looked away. "Explain this," I said quietly. She crossed her arms defensively almost instantly. "I don't know what you're talking about. The fake payment accounts. The missing refunds. The stolen customer transfers." Her face hardened completely. For several seconds neither of us spoke. Then she sighed dramatically like I was inconveniencing her. "You really went through all this?" I couldn't believe her reaction. "You stole from me. You're acting like I robbed a bank." My chest tightened with anger. "You stole $48,000 from my company." "Our company," she corrected sharply. I stared at her in disbelief. "No," I said slowly. "My company." She laughed bitterly and leaned back in the chair. "You think you did this alone?" "I did." "Oh please," she snapped. "Your brand blew up because people helped you. Because family supported you." "Supported me?" The word almost made me lose control. "You mocked me for years." "Maybe," she said coldly. "But now you're rich." Rich. As if success erased everything she had done. As if years of humiliation suddenly meant nothing because money finally arrived. "I needed help," she continued. "Rent was overdue. Omar couldn't find work. Meanwhile, you're making thousands every day. So you decided to steal." Her eyes narrowed. "You owe this family." That sentence hit me harder than the theft itself. Not congratulations. Not apology. Entitlement. In her mind, my success belonged to everyone except me. I stood up slowly and pointed toward the door. "You're fired." For the first time, she looked shocked. "You're serious?" "Yes. You'd throw family away over money?" I almost laughed from disbelief. "You stole from me." Her expression twisted with anger immediately. "You'll regret this." I should have paid more attention to those words. Instead, I was too exhausted and heartbroken to think clearly. Nadia grabbed her bag violently and stormed toward the exit. Just before leaving, she turned around one final time. "You think people love you now because you're successful," she said coldly. "Wait until they hear my side of the story." For 2 days after firing Nadia, I barely left the office. I spent every waking hour fixing the damage she left behind. Customers needed refunds, payment systems had to be secured, and missing orders were piling up faster than my small team could handle. The atmosphere inside Luna Threads changed completely. Employees spoke quietly, tension filled every room, and I constantly felt like another disaster was waiting around the corner. I told almost nobody what really happened. Not my family. Not social media. Not even my closest friends. Part of me still couldn't accept that someone from my own family had betrayed me so deeply. I kept hoping Nadia would calm down and disappear quietly. I was wrong. On Sunday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. My phone buzzed again before I could even sit up properly. It was Mia, one of my employees. "Emma," she said nervously the second I answered. "You need to check TikTok right now." My stomach dropped instantly. I opened the app while my heart pounded violently in my chest. The first video on my screen was Nadia. She sat in front of a camera, wearing no makeup, red eyes, oversized hoodie, and the exact expression people use online when they want sympathy. The caption read, "After helping build my cousin's company, I was thrown away like trash." The video already had nearly 400,000 views. I pressed play slowly. At first, Nadia spoke softly, like she was struggling emotionally. "I stayed quiet for a long time," she said, wiping fake tears from her face. "But I can't anymore." My chest tightened immediately. She claimed I overworked employees. She claimed I became arrogant after going viral. She claimed I fired her unfairly after she helped build the company for nothing. Then came the part that truly terrified me. "She only cares about money now," Nadia whispered dramatically. Success changed her completely. The comments underneath were brutal. "She sounds toxic." Another fake influencer exposed. "Rich people always forget who helped them." "Cancel this brand." My hands started shaking. I refreshed the page again. 700,000 views. The number kept rising every second. More videos appeared immediately afterward. Reaction accounts. Drama pages. Commentary creators. People who had never met me suddenly discussed my life like entertainment. "She fired her own cousin?" Family betrayal. This business owner got exposed. I sat frozen on the edge of my bed while panic spread through my entire body. Then my email notifications started exploding. Customers demanded explanations. Followers accused me of mistreating workers. Several influencers quietly unfollowed the brand within hours. The internet had turned against me overnight. By afternoon, the situation became even worse. A collaboration with a major fashion retailer was suddenly paused until further clarification. One sponsor canceled the campaign completely. Another brand emailed politely saying they wanted to distance themselves from current controversy. I stared at the screen feeling numb. Everything felt fragile again. Months of hard work, years of sacrifice, all collapsing because of one viral accusation. I rushed to the office immediately. The atmosphere inside felt heavy and uncomfortable. Employees avoided eye contact while pretending to work normally. Everyone had seen the videos already. Mia approached carefully. "Are you okay?" I nodded automatically even though I absolutely wasn't. I locked myself inside my office and opened TikTok again. The video had crossed 2 million views. 2 million people watching Nadia cry and call me selfish. And the worst part? Most viewers believed her immediately. Because online, emotion spreads faster than truth. I buried my face in my hands and tried thinking clearly. Should I respond publicly? Ignore it? Post screenshots? Every option felt dangerous. One wrong sentence could destroy Luna Threads permanently. My phone rang again. "Mom," I answered reluctantly. "What happened with Nadia?" she asked immediately. I closed my eyes tiredly. "She stole from the company." Silence. Then she sighed heavily. "Emma, family problems shouldn't be online." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She posted lies about me to millions of people. She's emotional right now. Emotional. Not criminal. Not dishonest. Just emotional. That conversation hurt more than I expected. Even after everything, my family still wanted me to stay quiet to protect Nadia. I ended the call quickly before my anger exploded. A few minutes later, my lawyer arrived at the office carrying a laptop bag and several printed documents. Daniel had helped me register Luna Threads when the business first started growing. He closed the office door behind him carefully. "You did the right thing contacting me early," he said calmly. I nodded weakly. The internet already decided I'm guilty. Public opinion changes fast, he replied. Facts matter more. I laughed bitterly. Not online. He sat across from me and opened his laptop. Tell me everything from the beginning. For nearly 2 hours, I explained the missing money, fake invoices, stolen transfers, and Nadia's behavior after getting fired. Daniel listened carefully without interrupting while taking notes. When I finished, he looked strangely calm. You have stronger evidence than you realize. I frowned slightly. What do you mean? He turned the laptop toward me. Your office security system stores footage for 6 months automatically, correct? My heart skipped. Yes, and Nadia handled transactions inside the office? I stared at him silently. Then realization hit me all at once. The cameras. Every room except the bathroom and break area had security cameras installed after the business moved downtown. My breathing quickened immediately. Daniel continued speaking calmly. If she altered invoices or redirected payments using office computers, there's a good chance the system recorded it. For the first time all day, hope appeared inside my chest. I rushed toward the security storage system immediately while Daniel helped access archived footage. We searched through hours of recordings carefully. At first, nothing unusual appeared. Then suddenly we found it. Nadia sitting alone in the office late at night, printing modified invoices, typing bank information into customer emails, accessing financial spreadsheets after everyone left. My entire body went cold. There it was. Proof. Clear. Undeniable. Devastating. But Daniel wasn't finished. Check the date from the customer complaint, he said. We searched again. Another video appeared. This time the footage showed Nadia laughing casually on a phone call while processing fake refund requests through the company account. I covered my mouth in shock. The betrayal looked even uglier on screen. She wasn't desperate. She wasn't panicking. She looked comfortable. Experienced. Like someone who had been doing this for a long time. Daniel paused the footage and looked directly at me. She accused you publicly, he said carefully. Now you have every right to defend yourself publicly, too. I stared silently at the frozen screen showing my cousin calmly stealing from my business. And for the first time since the scandal began, I realized something important. Nadia didn't just want revenge for being fired. She wanted to destroy me completely. I didn't sleep that night. While the internet continued attacking me, I sat alone inside my office, staring at the security footage over and over again. Every replay made my stomach twist harder. Watching Nadia calmly manipulate invoices and redirect payments felt unreal, like I was looking at a stranger instead of someone I had trusted enough to bring into my company. Outside the office windows, the city lights slowly faded as morning approached. Inside, my phone kept vibrating nonstop. More hate comments, more accusations, more people demanding explanations. The internet had already decided who the villain was. And according to millions of strangers, it was me. At around 5 a.m., Mia walked quietly into my office carrying coffee. Her eyes looked exhausted too. You should rest, she said gently. I can't. She placed the coffee beside me and glanced at the paused security footage on my computer screen. For a few seconds, she stayed silent. Then she said something that stuck with me. If you respond emotionally, people will only remember the drama. If you respond calmly, people will remember the truth. That sentence changed everything. Until then, I had imagined posting angry videos exposing Nadia completely. I wanted to scream about the betrayal, the stolen money, and the lies destroying my reputation. But Mia was right. The internet feeds on emotional chaos. If I lost control publicly, the situation would become entertainment instead of facts. So instead of reacting immediately, I planned carefully. By noon, Nadia's original TikTok had passed 4 million views. Commentary pages reposted clips everywhere. Reaction channels analyzed my toxic behavior. People who had never bought a product from Luna Threads suddenly called for boycotts. Even worse, fake stories started spreading online. Some people claimed I underpaid employees. Others invented rumors about lawsuits and secret investors. None of it was true. But once social media decides a story is exciting, truth becomes almost irrelevant. I locked myself inside the office conference room with Daniel and my small team. We reviewed every piece of evidence carefully. Bank statements, customer emails, transaction histories, security footage. The evidence was overwhelming. Still, I felt nervous. What if people don't care? I asked quietly. Daniel leaned back in his chair calmly. Then at least you defended yourself honestly. That mattered to me more than I expected. For years, I stayed silent while people mocked me because I thought success alone would prove them wrong. But silence doesn't always protect you. Sometimes silence allows lies to grow stronger. Around 7 p.m., I finally recorded my response video. No dramatic music, no crying, no insults. Just me sitting at my office desk speaking directly into the camera. My hands trembled slightly before recording started. Hi everyone, I began calmly. I normally keep personal issues private, but because serious accusations were made publicly, I need to address the situation honestly. I explained everything carefully. How I hired Nadia to help her financially. How missing payments were discovered. How customer complaints led to an internal investigation. Then I showed evidence. Screenshots appeared beside me while I explained transaction mismatches. Customer emails displayed fake payment instructions linked directly to Nadia's bank account. Finally, I paused for a second before saying, I did not want to release private footage. But after false accusations damaged my employees, customers, and company, I believe transparency matters. Then the security footage played. The internet saw Nadia sitting alone in the office late at night printing fake invoices. Another clip showed her altering customer payment records. Another showed her accessing restricted financial files after work hours. No editing tricks. No manipulation. Just raw footage with timestamps visible on screen. I ended the video simply. I never wanted public drama. I only wanted to protect the business I spent years building. Then I uploaded it. For the first 10 minutes, nothing happened. I sat refreshing the page anxiously while my heart pounded violently. Then suddenly the numbers exploded. Views climbed rapidly. Shares increased every second. Comments flooded the screen non-stop. But this time, the reactions were different. Oh wow, she lied. That footage is insane. Nadia literally stole from her. We judged too fast. I stared at the screen, almost unable to process the sudden shift. Within hours, major commentary channels started covering both sides of the story. But unlike before, the evidence completely changed public opinion. One massive creator uploaded a video titled, "Influencer Cousin E Exposed for Stealing from Viral Brand." It reached millions of views overnight. The same people who attacked me yesterday were suddenly apologizing publicly. Some customers even posted videos defending Luna threads and encouraging others to support the brand again. By midnight, the internet had completely turned against Nadia. Her comments became flooded with anger. People accused her of manipulation. Former supporters deleted videos defending her. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I mostly felt tired, because none of this should have happened in the first place. Around 2 a.m., my phone rang unexpectedly. Farah. I almost ignored it. But curiosity won. What? I answered coldly. She made a mistake, Farah said immediately. I laughed quietly in disbelief. A mistake? She's family, Emma. There it was again. Family. The same word people used every time they wanted me to forgive betrayal. She stole from me, I replied. Farah sighed heavily. You embarrassed her publicly. I nearly lost my temper. She accused me in front of millions of people first. She's already getting destroyed online, Farah continued nervously. Can't you just let it go now? I looked around my office silently. Stacks of damaged invoices still covered the desk. Refund requests filled my inbox. Employees were stressed because of her lies. And somehow I was still expected to be the reasonable one. Before hanging up, Farah said something strange. You don't understand how bad this could get. The sentence stayed in my mind after the call ended. At first, I assumed she meant online backlash. But later that night, while reviewing old company records again, I noticed something odd. Certain leaked business details from previous months suddenly made sense. Competitors somehow knew private launch dates. Limited edition designs appeared copied online suspiciously fast. Confidential supplier information had spread outside the company. At the time, I blamed rapid growth and weak security. Now I wasn't so sure anymore. I reopened Office access logs carefully and started checking late-night system activity connected to Nadia's employee account. Then I noticed another employee ID repeatedly appearing beside hers after hours. My breathing slowed instantly. I recognized the login code immediately. It belonged to Farah. For a long time, I stared at the screen without moving. Farah's employee access code appeared beside Nadia's login records again and again across multiple nights. At first, my brain refused to accept it. I kept hoping there was another explanation. Maybe she visited the office once or twice. Maybe someone borrowed her ID. Maybe the system glitched. But the deeper I looked, the worse everything became. The timestamps matched perfectly with leaked product launches and stolen design files. Every major business problem from the past few months suddenly connected together like pieces of a puzzle I had been too distracted to solve earlier. My chest felt tight as I opened more records. Farah had accessed supplier contracts, private pricing documents, marketing schedules, information that should never have left the company. I leaned back slowly in my chair, while anger and disbelief fought inside me at the same time. This wasn't random betrayal anymore. This was planned. The cousin who mocked my tiny online job from the beginning had secretly stayed close enough to profit from it once success arrived. I remembered all the strange moments I ignored before. Farah somehow knowing details about upcoming product launches before they were public. Competitor brands suddenly releasing similar designs days after our previews. Private sales numbers appearing in conversations where they never should have been mentioned. At the time, I thought it was coincidence. Now I realized someone inside my circle had been feeding information out deliberately. And it wasn't just Nadia. I spent the rest of the night investigating quietly. The office was completely silent except for the hum of computers and distant traffic outside the windows. Everyone else had already gone home hours earlier, but I couldn't stop digging through records. Every answer created new questions. I eventually discovered email exchanges between Nadia and unknown business accounts connected to competing online stores. They discussed shipment schedules, product materials, and even future collection ideas. One message made my blood run cold. If Emma's launch fails next month, traffic should move naturally toward your store. I reread the sentence 3 times. They were actively trying to sabotage Luna Threads from inside. Not just steal from me, destroy me. At sunrise, I finally called Daniel. "You need to come to the office," I said immediately. Something in my voice made him stop asking questions. An hour later, he sat across from me reviewing evidence silently. His expression became more serious with every document. "This is corporate sabotage," he said finally. Hearing those words out loud felt unreal. Luna Threads still felt personal to me, like an extension of my tiny apartment business. Seeing it described in legal language suddenly made everything feel larger and darker. "What do I do?" I asked quietly. Daniel closed the folder carefully. "You have enough evidence for legal action." The sentence hung heavily in the room. Legal action against family. Even after everything, part of me hated the idea. I wasn't someone who enjoyed conflict. I never wanted public revenge or dramatic scandals. All I ever wanted was to build something meaningful quietly. But now silence felt dangerous. Because if I ignored this, they would keep hurting the company. Maybe permanently. Around noon, I finally called Farah directly. She answered casually like nothing was wrong. "Hey," she said, "how are things?" I almost laughed at the fake innocence in her voice. "We need to talk." The silence that followed immediately told me she already knew. "What about?" "I know you accessed company files." Another silence. Then she scoffed lightly. "You're being paranoid. I have records." Her voice hardened slightly. So? So. That single word shattered whatever trust remained between us. You leaked information to competitors, I said quietly. You can't prove that. I already did. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then Farah sighed heavily like she was tired of pretending. You changed after becoming successful. I stared ahead blankly while listening. There it is, I replied softly. That's the real issue. You think you're better than everyone now? No, I said calmly. You just hate that I proved you wrong. Her breathing sharpened slightly. You got lucky, she snapped. One celebrity carried your bag and suddenly you act like some genius entrepreneur. Lucky. People always call success luck when they ignore the years of suffering before it. You mocked me for years, I reminded her. Because your business sounded ridiculous back then. I closed my eyes briefly. There it was again. The honesty hiding underneath the jealousy. Farah never respected me until strangers online decided I deserved respect first. And once my business became successful, she couldn't stand watching someone she once looked down on suddenly rise above her. You wanted me to fail, I said quietly. She didn't deny it. That hurt more than anything else. After ending the call, I sat alone in silence for several minutes trying to calm down. My emotions felt tangled together. Anger, sadness, disappointment, exhaustion. I kept remembering family dinners where everyone laughed at my work while I stayed silent pretending their words didn't hurt. Now the same people who dismissed me were secretly trying to profit from my downfall. It felt disgusting. By evening, Daniel returned with prepared documents. We should move carefully, he explained. But legally, you're fully protected. I stared at the paperwork nervously. Once this happened, there would be no fixing family relationships afterward. No pretending things were normal again. No peaceful holidays. No fake smiles around dinner tables. Everything would change permanently. But maybe it already had. Maybe betrayal changes relationships long before truth finally exposes them. The next morning, news of the investigation somehow leaked online almost immediately. At first, only small business pages discussed it. Then larger commentary accounts picked up the story. More family drama inside viral brand. Second relative accused in Luna thread scandal. The internet became obsessed. People analyzed old interviews. TikTok creator theories. Reddit discussions exploded with speculation. Ironically, the scandal made Luna threads even more popular. Follower counts doubled again. Sales increased dramatically. Customers flooded comment sections supporting me. People love comeback stories online, especially when betrayal is involved. But while the internet treated everything like entertainment, my real life felt like it was collapsing privately behind the scenes. Then something unexpected happened. An investigative business page posted leaked screenshots exposing one of the competitor brands connected to Nadia and Farah. Customers quickly discovered several original designs sold by that company were nearly identical to old Luna threads sketches. The backlash became immediate. People accused the rival store of copying and corporate theft. Fashion creators started defending my brand publicly. Even influencers who previously distanced themselves began reposting supportive messages again. And in the middle of all that chaos, one particular message appeared in my inbox from an unknown address. You still don't know who helped make your brand famous in the first place. I stared at the anonymous message for almost a full minute. You still don't know who helped make your brand famous in the first place. No name. No explanation. No attachment. Just that single sentence sitting in my inbox like a riddle. At first, I assumed it was another troll trying to create drama. Ever since the scandal exploded online, my email had become a disaster filled with fake tips, conspiracy theories, and strangers pretending to know secrets about my company. Still, something about this message felt different. Specific. Intentional. I typed a quick reply asking who they were, but no response came back. By then, my life barely felt stable anymore. Luna threads had survived the public scandal, but emotionally I felt exhausted. Every day brought another headline, another commentary video, another discussion about my personal life from strangers online. The internet treated everything like entertainment. For me, it was constant pressure. Even simple things felt difficult now. Going outside meant recognizing whispers. Checking social media meant reading opinions about myself from people who had never met me. Trusting anyone felt almost impossible after Nadia and Farah. So when Mia suggested I attend an international fashion business conference in Dubai, I immediately refused. "I'm not going," I said while reviewing invoices at the office. "You should. I'm tired." Mia crossed her arms. "Emma, you've spent months hiding in this office dealing with chaos. You need real opportunities again." I sighed heavily. She wasn't wrong. The conference included major fashion investors, retail executives, and luxury brand owners from around the world. Under normal circumstances, attending would have been a dream opportunity for Luna Threads. But after everything that happened, I no longer trusted attention. Attention had brought success. Attention had also nearly destroyed me. Still, after days of thinking about it, I finally agreed. 3 weeks later, I arrived in Dubai feeling completely out of place. The conference hotel looked enormous and expensive, filled with polished marble floors, giant chandeliers, and people wearing designer clothes that probably cost more than my first apartment rent. Meanwhile, I stood there nervously adjusting my blazer while clutching my conference badge like a scared student. Luna Threads had become successful online, but deep down I still felt like the same girl packing orders alone beside her bed at 2 a.m. The event itself was overwhelming. Fashion panels, networking events, investor meetings. Everywhere I looked, people spoke confidently about expansion strategies, luxury markets, and international partnerships. I tried pretending I belonged there. But inside, insecurity followed me everywhere. During the second evening, I attended a networking dinner on the rooftop terrace overlooking the city skyline. Music played softly while business owners moved between conversations holding expensive drinks and exchanging polished smiles. I stayed near the edge of the terrace quietly, trying not to look awkward. Then someone approached beside me. "You handled the scandal professionally." I turned slightly. An elegant older woman stood beside me wearing a simple black dress and silver jewelry. Her voice sounded calm and confident. "Thank you," I replied politely. Most people at the conference recognized me because of the online controversy surrounding Luna Threads. I expected another uncomfortable conversation about internet drama. Instead, the woman smiled faintly. "Most companies collapse under public pressure like that," she continued. "Yours became stronger." I didn't know how to answer. Before I could speak again, she added something unexpected. "I was actually your first customer." I frowned slightly. "What?" "The Moon tote bag," she said casually. "The custom order from last year." My brain froze instantly. The Moon tote bag. Sarah K. The mysterious customer connected to the celebrity photo that changed my entire life. I stared at her in disbelief. "You're Sarah?" She nodded calmly. "My full name is Sarah Kareem." The name hit me immediately. Sarah Kareem wasn't just another customer. She was one of the most powerful fashion investors in the Middle East. Her company helped launch multiple international luxury brands over the past decade. I had read articles about her before, while studying successful businesses online late at night. Suddenly my heartbeat became dangerously fast. "You bought my bag?" I asked quietly. "I discovered your shop accidentally," she replied. "I liked your designs, so I ordered one personally." Everything around me suddenly felt surreal. Sarah leaned against the railing slightly while looking out over the city lights. "A few weeks later, Chloe Mercer visited one of our events," she continued. "She saw the bag and asked where I got it." I blinked slowly. That was it. That tiny moment had changed my entire life. Not a marketing strategy. Not paid advertising. Just one random conversation between two people I had never met. "You never contacted me," I said softly. "I wanted to observe first." Observe. The word made sense coming from someone like her. Powerful investors study people carefully before revealing themselves. I watched how you handled success, she explained. Then I watched how you handled betrayal. I stayed silent. The internet can make anyone popular temporarily, she continued calmly. But pressure reveals character. For the first time in months, someone wasn't talking to me because of scandal, gossip, or viral drama. She was talking about the business itself. About me. What exactly are you saying? I asked carefully. Sarah smiled slightly. I think Luna threads can become global. My chest tightened instantly. She explained everything clearly after that. International manufacturing, luxury retail partnerships, distribution networks across Europe and Asia. The opportunities sounded unreal. Every dream I secretly imagined during sleepless nights in my tiny apartment suddenly sat directly in front of me as a real possibility. Then came the part that truly shocked me. I want to invest in your company. I almost stopped breathing. For several seconds, the sounds of the rooftop party disappeared completely around me. All I could hear was my own heartbeat. Sarah continued speaking calmly, like this conversation wasn't life-changing. We would expand carefully, she explained. But I believe your story connects with people emotionally. That matters in modern branding. I tried staying professional even though my mind was spinning. There's one condition, she added. I looked at her nervously. You need to become the public face of Luna Threads. Immediately, anxiety rushed through me again. Public attention had already caused enough pain. I'm not really comfortable being visible, I admitted quietly. Sarah studied me carefully before answering. The world connects with authenticity now, she said. People don't just buy products anymore. They buy stories. And whether you realize it or not, your story already inspires millions of people. The morning after the global launch felt unusually quiet. Not because something was missing, but because something inside me had finally settled. For the first time in years, there was no panic, no emergency emails, no sudden scandal waiting to explode on my phone screen. Luna Threads was running smoothly across international markets, and the systems we had built finally worked without me having to fix every small detail personally. I sat alone in my office overlooking the city, holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold without me noticing. Success didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like silence after a storm. But the past still had a way of reaching me. Even now, the legal case against Nadia and Farah had ended quietly a few weeks earlier. Farah avoided public attention completely after her involvement was proven through internal records and competitor leaks. She didn't go to jail, but she lost several business connections and her reputation within professional circles collapsed. Nadia, on the other hand, was forced to return most of the stolen funds after legal pressure, though not everything could be recovered. Neither of them contacted me again. And I didn't reach out either. Not out of hatred, but out of understanding that some relationships don't survive truth. Instead of focusing on them, I focused on rebuilding something better. Sarah Kareem's investment had expanded further than expected. Luna Threads now had design teams in 3 countries, manufacturing partnerships in Asia, and flagship stores being prepared in Europe. My role shifted from survival to leadership. I wasn't packing boxes anymore. I was building systems. But even with all that progress, I never forgot where I started. That small apartment. That broken printer. Those sleepless nights when I wondered if anyone would ever care. One evening, while reviewing expansion reports, Mia knocked gently on my office door. "There's someone outside asking for you," she said. I frowned slightly. "Who?" She hesitated. "A group of students." Curious, I stepped outside. At the entrance of the office stood around 20 young people, most of them carrying notebooks, phones, and cameras. They looked nervous, but excited. One of them stepped forward. "Are you Emma Clarke?" "Yes." She smiled nervously. "We're part of a startup mentorship program from a local university." I nodded slowly. "We wanted to meet you," she continued. "Your story is being taught in our entrepreneurship class." That surprised me more than I expected. "My story?" I repeated. Yes, another student added quickly. How you started from a small online business and became global. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Because when I was struggling, I never imagined my failures would one day be studied like a success story. I invited them inside. We sat in the conference room while they asked questions about everything from product design to handling failure and dealing with public criticism. At one point, a student asked quietly, "Did you ever think of quitting?" I paused for a second before answering honestly. Many times. And what stopped you? I thought about it carefully. Not revenge. Not success. Not money. Something simpler. I just didn't want to be wrong about myself, I said finally. The room went silent for a moment. After they left, I stayed behind in the conference room longer than usual. Their questions stayed in my mind. Because somewhere along the way, I realized something important. My revenge was never about destroying people. It was about proving to myself that I wasn't what they said I wasn't. Not lazy, not incapable, not a failure. Just misunderstood at the wrong time. That night, I received another unexpected message. Not from an investor. Not from a client, but from an unknown number. It was a short voice note. I hesitated before playing it. Nadia's voice came through quietly, different from before. Less confident. More tired. "I know I don't deserve to contact you," she said. "But I wanted to say I'm sorry." I didn't respond immediately. She continued. "I ruined something good. Not just for you but for myself too." There was a pause. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed to say it." The message ended there. I sat in silence for a long time. For the first time since everything happened, I didn't feel anger. Not fully. Just distance. Because some apologies don't repair damage. They only confirm that the damage was real. I didn't reply. I simply put my phone down and turned off the screen. The next morning I visited one of Luna Thread's new warehouses. Workers were organizing shipments efficiently while machines processed orders from different countries. One of the supervisors greeted me. "Everything is running ahead of schedule," he said proudly. I nodded. For a moment, I just watched quietly. This wasn't the tiny online job they once laughed at. This was something real. Something large. Something built from nothing. As I walked through the warehouse, I noticed a wall near the exit filled with customer messages printed and framed. Thank you notes from buyers across the world. Stories from people who said our products made them feel confident, seen, or inspired. I stopped in front of one message. It read, "I started my own small business after seeing your journey. Thank you for showing that it's possible." I stood there longer than I expected. Because that was the part nobody talked about when they mocked me in the beginning. They only saw something small. But they never saw what it could become. Later that day, I returned to the office and found Mia waiting with a folder. "What is it?" I asked. She smiled slightly. "New expansion proposal." I opened it slowly. New markets, new collaborations, new creative projects. New creative projects. The company wasn't just stable anymore. It was growing beyond anything I had imagined in that small apartment years ago. I signed the first approval page without hesitation. Then I leaned back in my chair and looked out the window again. The city below felt different now. Not intimidating, not overwhelming, just distant. Because I was no longer trying to prove I belonged there. I already did. And in the end, it was never really about revenge in the way people online like to imagine it. It wasn't loud, messy, or emotional. It didn't come from destroying those who doubted me, and it didn't come from proving anyone wrong in a dramatic final moment. It came from something quieter, something more permanent. It came from building. Building when I was ignored. Building when I was mocked. Building when I was betrayed. Building even when it felt like no one would ever take me seriously. The truth is, people will always judge you at the start. They will call your dreams small, your efforts meaningless, your ideas unrealistic. But time has a strange way of exposing everything. It reveals who stayed consistent, who gave up, and who kept going even when there was no applause. Luna Threads didn't become powerful because everyone believed in it from the beginning. It became powerful because I did. And once success finally arrived, it didn't erase the past, but it changed my relationship with it. The same voices that once made me doubt myself could no longer define me. The same people who once laughed had nothing new to say when results spoke louder than opinions. What stayed with me wasn't anger anymore. It was clarity. The understanding that validation from others is temporary, but discipline, persistence, and self-belief are what actually build a life. In the end, I didn't just create a brand. I created proof that being underestimated is not the end of a story, it's often the beginning of one.